Hey everybody, welcome to Bestie Book Reviews. I was here with my bestie Mandy.
Well, you're not gonna be if she doesn't plug her phone in. And
she's back. I'm here with my bestie Mandy.
And I am here with my bestie Jessica.
Okay, so you guys have asked for it, so we're gonna give it to you. These are some of our favorite audiobooks.
Before we start talking to audiobooks, though, I just want to do a quick shout out to Rin Shear. I won this in her book
like that one.
Facebook group. I'm very excited to read this. This is not on audio, I don't think.
No.
But I just wanted to shout that out.
Yeah. I think that was like her first book.
This really pretty bracelet that says read more. I don't know if you can see it, but
Yeah.
anyways.
Yeah. Awesome. Rin's awesome. I know she said she was nervous when I first picked that up because it was one of her first books, but I still loved it. Like, I loved it. So yeah, I hope you do too. I can't wait. Okay, so let's talk about audiobooks.
No.
Do we have anything we want to tell them about audiobooks?
We need them to hit that subscribe button first, please. And like and comment. It means a lot to us when we see those likes and those comments. And then also, we are working on we had our road to 2K. We need to come up with is it road to 3K now?
Yeah.
Actually, it was road to 1K.
It was road to 1K. We kept it for 2K. And now you're on the road to 3K now.
Highway to 3K.
Highway to 3K.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
No sleep till 3K.
Please let me sleep. I'm tired.
Anyway,
too old for
hit that subscribe button because when we reach 3,000, we're giving away Coveted covers first books in their first book box. So you definitely want to be a subscriber, and we will let you know more. Yes, we will let you know more on how you can win those. But the first thing you got to do is hit that subscribe button.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So we each have 5 audiobooks. We kind of chose our favorites.
Yes.
For the most part. Yep. Chose our favorites, favorite narrators, favorite audiobooks. I look like a dork when I wear these. I can't do earbuds. Earbuds hurt my ears. They hurt my poor little ears. I can't do it. Can you even hear me?
They're noise canceling. I have no idea what's happening.
Yeah, I love that. Really? You're going to continue this?
Oh, am I not supposed to be listening to my audiobook right now?
No, you're supposed to be
Tor has a very captivating voice.
Tor does. Speaking of Tor, one of my first books that I pulled up is Twisted Pride by Cora Reilly, and Tor narrates this one. So should we talk about this? Tor and Charlie and Angel is the female narrator. So let's just talk about it. I know a lot of people have read this. I'm just going to swipe over and talk about this really, really quick. This is, it takes place in Cora Reilly's, oh my gosh, where'd my brain go? What is it? Kimora. Oh man. This takes place in Cora Reilly's Kimora Chronicles world. This, you could read it as a standalone. I know a lot of people have. I think you should read all the books in order to get the best enjoyment out of it, but you could listen to, and they all have audio, so you could do that. But this is the story of Remo and Serafina. Remo is the head of the Kimora out in Vegas, and Serafina is getting married. She's from Chicago. She is getting married to the guy that she's been engaged to forever, and Remo, on her wedding day, kidnaps her and takes her back to Vegas, and he keeps her captive. And there's a lot that happens there. Remo doesn't have he's a very gruff, cold guy, and I love it. The audiobook is great. It is the first audiobook that really introduced us to Tor. And when we got to meet Tor, I was like, oh my gosh, it's Remo. So, he also voices Growl in her books too, and a few other people. So, but typically he comes back to do Remo every time she has a new book. So,
Okay.
Yep. Okay.
Okay, my first one is my absolute favorite audiobook. It is a Christmas one, so bear with me. I think it's fantastic though, so you could enjoy it any time of the year. And that is My Favorite Holiday by Lauren Blakely. And I need to look at my notes to list all of the narrators because this is full cast narration. It is phenomenal. So we have Samantha Brentmore and Jason Clark who do Fable and Wilder, who are the main characters in the story. Then we also have Andy Arndt, Connor Crass, Vanessa Edwin, Andy Eloise, Teddy Hamilton, Aaron Mallon, Noah B. Prez, Shakira Shute, and Ryan West. So you have like just almost all the big names in this one. So in this story, Fable is at a Thanksgiving dinner with her boyfriend, who's voiced by Teddy Hamilton. And let's just say Teddy Hamilton does a phenomenal job of making you not like him in this book. And things go awry pretty quickly when it turns out Teddy Hamilton is a jerk. No.
No.
Take that out.
Okay.
Okay. So things go awry pretty quickly when it turns out her boyfriend Brady is not who she thought he was, basically. He's not a great guy. And she ends up in a fake relationship with Wilder, who's also her boss, so that when they all travel to this wedding, there's going to be a Christmas competition there, and it's her sister's wedding, but Brady is going to be there as well because of his relationship with the sister's future husband. And there's this Christmas competition. So she teams up with her boss. They pretend that they're together. It is just phenomenal. I absolutely love this one so much. You have the billionaire boss, you have fake dating, you just have everything. And that full cast narration is always just the best.
Mm-hmm. It is. Okay. So the next book I have, Teddy also narrated, and this was like I think this was literally the first book, either the first or the second book that I ever read or listened to where Teddy narrated, where I was like, who's this voice? I need to know. And so I love this series. This is the third book in a series. Again, you can read it as a standalone, but I do think you get better enjoyment if you read all three, and they're all three great. And so this is Resisting Temptation by Casey Lynn. Teddy Hamilton narrates it with Callie Dalton, who is another favorite narrator as well. So this has fan art in it. So this is about our hero. I thought I wrote down their names, and then I totally didn't write down their names. So I must have just been thinking outside the box here. I know the heroine's name. Oh, Cade and Faith. That's what their names are. So Cade met Faith a handful of years ago when he was in the military, and he was overseas. I think they were in Iraq. And Faith was there on a missions trip, and he sees her playing guitar out in under a tree wherever they were stationed, and he just falls in love with her. There's something about her. He's attracted to her singing. He's attracted to who she is. Now, he has had some trauma in his life. His little sister was killed by a minister, and things, because there were things that happened when he was a child, and he has a really bad outlook on faith in general. Now, this is not a Christian romance, but it does hit on some themes, but I still think it's done very well. It's really good. And while they're in Iraq, when things happen, they get attacked and they are taken captive, and Faith is with them when that happens. So it's him and his two buddies, and they're taken captive. And we know that bad things happened because the first two books kind of tell us how they came back scarred and things that happened when they were taken captive. So this is their story because they both have trauma from being captive, being taken captives, and they don't see each other for a while. And then he shows up in her town. And so she shows up in his town. And so they have to confront a lot of those feelings and a lot of those things that they went through. He has decided, like, the way he copes is, he is very withdrawn and just very angry. And she copes by using her faith. And so it's very, very, very good. I loved this one so much. And the narrators are amazing. Obviously, it's Teddy and Callie. Come on.
Okay.
Okay.
So my favorite narrator, Samantha Brentmore.
I was going to say Samantha.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Love her. She's done so many things. So when we decided to do this video, it was really difficult to pick my favorite of hers because she has this way of just really making you feel the emotion that the character is going through. Like, she's so good at capturing that.
Yeah.
So I went ahead and picked a book that I feel like is maybe a little controversial. There, we did this as our buddy read like a year ago, actually. And some of us liked it, some of us didn't. But I feel like this one just really captured the emotion for me. So that is The Summer You Found Me by Elizabeth O'Rourke. And just to note, Samantha Brittmore does most of Elizabeth's things. She's done several of the Devils, and I believe that she actually narrates all of the summer books. The male narrator changes, but I'm positive she's the female narrator on all of them. So you can check out any of those and see her fantastic work because they're all great. So in this one, we have Kate. Kate comes back right out of rehab, and she is desperate to get her husband back, who has already moved on, and we see that in the previous summer book. But she is not ready to let him go, and so she is determined to win him back, and she will do it at whatever cost necessary because Kate is still a little self-absorbed. But as we peel those layers back, we find a very broken, hurt woman, and I just, the emotion that Samantha could pack into Kate in this audiobook is just overwhelming. It made me cry. I felt so much for Kate, and usually I don't like the other woman drama stuff, and Samantha just really captures Kate's raw emotion and all those layers so eloquently that I could not help but want to root for Kate. And it actually made me dislike Caleb a little bit, even though I really liked him in the other one. So we have Beck in this story, who is Caleb's best friend, and he takes her in, and he sees Kate a little bit differently than a lot of the other people in her life as well. So absolutely love this one. Highly recommend the whole summer series that to listen to. I do want to point out that I know we always talk about triggers. I don't think we brought it up in this one, though. You may want to check triggers for this because there is some stuff that Kate has gone through.
It's snowing again. I just thought you should know that.
All right.
Okay, it's never going to go away. Okay, so the next book I have has one of my favorite female narrators, and I'll tell you why. It is Tattered by Devney Perry. This is my very first Devney. Hold on, I accidentally muted myself. Okay, so this is my very first Devney Perry book ever, and I listened to it when we were driving from Virginia to South Carolina. Like, I remember listening to this in the car, and I loved it so much. So this is narrated by Aaron Shedlock, who is amazing as well. He's another male narrator that I just love, and Maxine Mitchell. So Maxine Mitchell is my favorite because she can drop her voice in a way to do, when it's not duet narration, when it's just dual narration, she can drop her voice to do the main male character's voice in a way that makes me think it's a different person. I love her voice when she does that. I think it sounds like a sexy dude. So I am always all for anything that Maxine Mitchell narrates. But this is, like I said, my very first Devney Perry. This is the first in her Lark Cove series. And this is about our heroine, who is Thea. She meets Logan. So she's from this little tiny Montana town, and she meets Logan one night. He is a businessman who's come to town. They end up having a one-night stand. They do not exchange names or numbers or anything. And then lo and behold, guess what happens? She's pregnant, and she has no way of finding this man or telling him that she has a child. Then we fast forward a few years later. He shows up back in this Montana town, and he walks into a bar, not realizing it's her bar, and she's working there. And she has to tell him that they have a child. They have a little girl who's a few years old, and there's a lot of repercussions. He is not happy about not knowing. And he's there to basically kind of, I don't know, revive the town, and not everybody's thrilled about that either. So this is their story and how they make it work. It's a really good story, but it's kind of got that special place in my heart because it's my very first Devney Perry. And Maxine Mitchell, I mean, come on.
Samantha Brittmore also does a very good male voice.
Yeah, but Maxine's I can pick out of a lineup. There's something about the way she does it. So they both do. I love both girls. Both ladies, I should say.
Women.
Ladies, same thing.
No, apparently when you refer to somebody as a lady, it is like an aggressive passive term, like passive aggressive term.
What? Not if you do it in that way like that. That's ridiculous.
It's what the young people say, apparently.
Oh, well, we're old, so we can say it differently.
Oh, let's do math.
I don't like your math. Okay, next. What's
Not
your next
my
one?
math. It's just math.
Uh-huh.
My next one is, this went back a ways for me to find this one, but it has one of my favorite duos, and that is Sebastian York and Andy Arndt. And this is Happily Letter After by Vi Keeland and Penelope Ward. So I really enjoy Vi Keeland, and for a long time, I didn't really do a lot of audio. So this was one of my first audiobooks that I ever listened to. And so this is about Sadie. Sadie grants wishes through a newspaper column, like a Dear Santa type thing. And she gets a letter in June, which strikes her as odd, but she goes ahead and reads it and finds that it's from this little girl named Birdie. And Birdie's mom passed away, let me start that part over. Yeah. Sorry. So Birdie doesn't have a mom at a very young age, just like Sadie. So they have they share a common loss of their mom when they were young girls. And so that really connects Sadie to Birdie. And so she wants to grant Birdie's wish. So she works on doing this, which sets up a whole chain of events, which eventually leads her to Birdie's doorstep. And did I mention that Birdie has a very nice looking father who's a little broody at times? And she ends up on the doorstep, and he thinks that she is there to train their dog. She ends up going along with it in like a crazy momentary lapse of judgment. And then once she's inside, she learns that she's supposed to be a German dog trainer. So she starts making up things in German to train the dog. So much so that she actually goes home and studies this so she can be better prepared when she comes back. And I just absolutely loved it. The book was very touching, but it also had very funny moments in it as well. And Sebastian York and Andy are just, they always bring it. And so just the chemistry between the two of them and the crazy German clucking trying to train the dog. Oh, it was hilarious.
Okay.
Like she's like clucks and learns these German words, trying to like teach oh, it was so funny.
I know, because if it was me, I'd be like, Farfignugan. That's all you're getting. I don't even think that is German.
It's not.
It's not. See? I just proved my own point. So we would have been in trouble.
Yes.
All right. So I went back I had to dig way back to find this book, but this is another couple that did an amazing job for the book. And it's another set. And I do love this story. I have listened to this several different times. And that is Welcome to the Dark Side by Gianna Darling. Our narrators are Jason Clark and Denise Ketchum. Nope, Desiree Ketchum. You're right there. Desiree Ketchum. This story is so good, and these narrators do such an amazing job. So this is the story of Zeus and Lulu. If you have not read this, which I know a lot of you have, but this is about Daddy Zeus and Louise. And Zeus saves Louise. So this is a big age gap, but this is an age gap. He is part of the MC. He's the president of the MC. And he saves Lulu when she is very, very young from a shootout that happens in the church parking lot. Like her own dad, because her parents are complete idiots and should have never been made parents, run and flee, and they don't save their kids. Zeus ends up saving her, but in the middle of all that, he gets shot as well. And then when they go to the hospital, he ends up getting put in prison because, the shootout had to do with the fact that it was a rival MC situation. And Lulu, and he's obviously shot, so he's injured. And then Lulu, it's discovered like she'd been complaining about being in pain and not feeling good. And her parents were just that wonderful that they ignored her. And we come to find out that she has cancer. And so she ends up writing him letters while he's in prison, and she's a little girl, and nothing inappropriate happens because he has kids her age, but he will write her letters back and forth. And then he gets out of prison when she's older. She has had a reoccurrence of cancer at that point. And at this point, she's like 16 or 17, and she just doesn't care. Like, she just doesn't care. He's out of prison, and she's going to push for it. And she does. And so, it's a little on the taboo side, but the narrators are amazing, and they do such a wonderful job. Like, when I hear Jason Clarke's voice, I think of Zeus every time. So.
Okay.
Okay.
So my next book is Love You Truly by Stacey Travis. This is narrated by Hannah Chiclana and Wesley Mercer, another favorite pair of mine. And so we have Mallory here. Mallory is desperate to get her ex out of her life. And she has very flighty parents who have a winery, and they basically tied the winery to her getting married to her ex because they feel like she needs a partner in life. And she is like, no, I don't. I want to do this on my own. And she finds out that that's the only way she's going to get the winery. So she convinces Dash to marry her so that she can get her parents off her back and she can get her winery. And then there's also there's some stuff he needs for his winery. So it's like a mutually beneficial situation, marriage of convenience, if you will. And I just love the narration by Hannah and Wesley. They do such a fantastic job. They have great chemistry together. And that's always so important in an audiobook, that if it just feels like one person does their part and then the next person does theirs and then the next person, it can really ruin an audiobook. So you need there to be some sort of chemistry, which can be really hard to do through an audiobook. But Hannah and Wesley definitely bring that. And they narrate I believe the whole series, and just phenomenal.
Okay. All right. So the next set of narrators I have are not well known as far as narrators go. I don't think these are like the only books that I've ever read that they've narrated that I'm aware of. But this is a favorite of mine. So this is The Devil of Dublin by B.B. Easton. So these books are narrated by Elizabeth Klett and Eric Nolan. So if you recognize the name Eric Nolan, I don't know that everybody's going to recognize this name. He is an Irish actor. He has been in Vikings, and he has been in Game of Thrones. He played a wildling. I think he plays more smaller roles than the bigger roles, because I didn't necessarily recognize him when I was looking, but I do know that he's been in those. But he is an Irish actor. And since this book takes place in Ireland, it's nice to have a male character who has an Irish accent and an authentic Irish accent. And it's funny because apparently he gets, there's a lot of people who say it's not real when he's from Ireland. It is an Irish accent. So, but I do really appreciate that. And Elizabeth is able to, when because it's dual narration, not duet. And so when she has to be Kellen in this book, she's able to produce a decent Irish accent as well. So this is the story of Darby and Kellen. Darby is from the US, but she travels to Ireland to visit her grandpa in the summer every year. And her first year, when she's a little girl and she does that, she's like 7 or 8-ish, somewhere in there. And she, her grandpa's always told her the stories of Ireland, all the Irish folktale, all of the things about fairies and fae and the fairy circles in the woods and stuff. And so she will go and play in the woods behind her grandpa's house. And one day she finds these ruins, and like, it's an old house that is, just, there's nothing much left of it. And that is where she meets Kellen. Now, he is mute, and he has had a horrifically tragic life. He's just a little boy at this time, and she can tell that he's been hurt. He has a cut on his lip. He's got bruises. He's dirty. He's starving. And they play Harry Potter that day, and she tries to heal him with her stick, pretending it's a wand, and he just becomes enamored with her. And every summer she comes back. Now, he's supposed to be taken care of by the priest in town. People call him the devil child because of reasons. And so she comes back every summer, and he looks forward to that. And then one year she doesn't come back, and he's devastated by that. And things start to happen, and she does come back in her 20s, but at that point she believes that he is dead. And it just kind of sets up a whole bunch of things to happen. I love this story. This is actually a part of a duet, but their story gets wrapped up in this book, but we do see a little bit of them in the next book, but you have to read the first one before you can read the next one. And it's just, the narrators are amazing. They really made it, because I felt like he's really Irish, you know, it was perfect.
I decided for my last one to go with a book that the book was just funny and it had some great parts in it. And the narrators had to act it out. I don't know, how would you put that? Like, they're not just reading lines. They have to bring the emotion. And this one has a fight in it, which was epic, and I absolutely loved it. So, my last one, I guess it is The Invitation by Adriana Locke, and this is done by Jason Clark and Lexi Maynard. And they play, oh my gosh.
I know, it's hard.
I don't know how to say it. Georgia and Ripley. So Georgia and Ripley are enemies. They do not like each other at all. But their best friends are trying to put a TV pilot together, and it is very important to them. And through a whole bunch of turn of events, they need to cast 2 people immediately. And so both of them agree to do it. But what they're agreeing to is being put into situations where they're going to have to date each other as part of this TV pilot show. And they have to pretend to like each other because they don't want their friend's show to get canceled, and all of the ramifications of that. So they're very invested in making their pretend relationship work, even though they hate each other. And so basically the camera is going to document them going on these dates. And one of the things that they do is go on a hike. And in this hike, the weather changes and they get lost and they get in a fight about it. And he's upset because she insisted on taking the cuter named trail. And she's mad at him because he didn't check the weather app. And it is just so funny to listen to the 2 of them bickering, because if you've ever been in a relationship and things don't go quite right in the moment, it's very quick for that argument to come up. So it's like totally relatable that they're having this bicker about it, because I mean, like, why would you pick like the cuter name trail even though it's harder? I mean, come on, like, you would, right? And then why wouldn't you check the weather app? Like, that should have happened. So I'm totally taking her side in this argument. But it was so much fun. But you have to have good narrators to make that work, for it not to sound dumb, I guess, when it's happening. They have to have that chemistry, and they have to be able to portray that level of frustration and anger in the moment with each other for it to really come across. And they did that wonderfully. And it really made the book.
Okay. All right. So that should have been it, but I have a bonus one. Because I couldn't choose, I couldn't narrow it. I just couldn't narrow it down to 5. And so that is going to be my favorite book of all time. You guys might be tired of it, but Tough Ducks, we're talking about it. And that is The Surviving Trace. It's true. The Surviving Trace by Calla Reed. I read these books. There was no audio when I first picked them up, and I loved them. And so when I picked up, like when she put out the narration, I was like, okay, I'm going to listen to these now. And there was a part of me that was very nervous about listening to them, because I loved reading them so much. And I didn't know if the narrators could pull off becoming Serene and Etienne. And they did such a great job. I love listening to it now. So they still brought the angst, even the second time around. It was great. So this is narrated by Courtney Patterson, which I don't think I've listened to a lot of Courtney Patterson, but she does a phenomenal job as Serene. And then Mason Lloyd is our Etienne in this, and he makes the book for me, because if you guys don't know, Mason Lloyd is the narrator who narrates 95% of Ruby Dixon's books. He is all of our big blue aliens. And so for me to listen to this book and not hear a big blue alien, that is a big deal. And I recognize his voice right off the bat. But real quickly, I forgot that he was a big blue alien most of the time. Because in this book, it takes place in the early 1900s in South Carolina. And our hero, Etienne, has a an accent. He has a Southern drawl, and it's distinctive to South Carolina. My in-laws live in South Carolina. I'm going there later this month. Like I've heard that accent quite a bit. And so, not that they have it, I'm just around people down there that have it. But Mason pulls it off, and it is perfect, and I just love it. So if you don't know, if you haven't listened to me ramble on about this book, this is about Serena and Etienne. Serena is from our time, the current time, and Etienne is from 1912 or 14, I can't, whatever year the Titanic sank. And she finds a picture. Serena has a antique store with her best friend, and she's really into old pictures, and she finds a picture one day of these 4 guys sitting on a plantation house, on these plantation house steps. She's really drawn to one of them. These are all very good looking men, but one of them has had a broken nose a few times. You can just tell that he's a little more gruff than the others, and she's very, very drawn to him. Well, she also has a fiance, and the fiance is getting a little annoyed that she cannot put this picture down. Like, she has been staring at it for weeks at this point in time, and he throws the picture in the fire. And later that night, she's very angry with him. She's sleeping on the couch. She's not happy. She's laying on the couch, and she's not very happy. And she falls through time. And when she gets back to this time frame, it's during the time that there's a big ball happening at the plantation house, and everybody knows that she's Serene. Now, they're a little put off by the dress that she's wearing because it's so short, but they know that she's Serene. They call her Serene. They act like they know her, and she's like, "What is going on?" And they're all like, "You're going to be in so much trouble for putting on this party, Serene." And then that is where Etienne shows up, and he's very angry with her, and he's getting after her about throwing yet another party. And she's like, "I don't even know who you are." And he's like, "I'm your husband. This is not even funny." So basically, Etienne has a Serene in his time, but she's very cruel to him, and she's a horrible person, and she's been replaced with this Serene, but we don't know where the other one is. It's like a whole thing. But I love this book so much. I love the story so much. I can listen to it over and over and over again. I will be doing a re-listen here very soon for reasons, but yes, can't wait. I do want to annotate too, but that's a lot to annotate. Those are 3 books. That's a lot of work. So anyhow, all right. So there's some audiobooks for you guys.
Okay.
I'm waiting on you.
Okay. Well, let us know, what are some of your favorite audiobooks in the comments below. And make sure you check back on Mondays, Thursdays, and Saturdays for new videos from us.
Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you in the next video.